bad, they're going to be live people, more likely, who are kind of people who are in the Quest studios, sort of like the Minority Report. There's a scene in the Minority Report that gets us half right.
Okay. Sure.
Just that's another movie to watch, guys.
Who's seen that? The scene I think what you're talking about is as Cruz is running around the mall, it's hyper personalizing the ads for him. Is that what you mean? Like,
who are for one reason or another, they're motivated to sell Tom Cruise. They're salespeople.
Right.
I know.
This case where it's becoming extremely efficient. So again, I go back to the whole concept that it's the Shakespeare was right. The world is a soundstage. That's what's going down. Everywhere you go, it's a soundstage, and everywhere you go, it's going to take formerly mundane moments of your life and amplify them into engaging and entertaining moments.
Okay.
That's cool.
Right?
That's very cool.
When you're brushing your teeth, now it's like a task. When you're doing it in the Crest world, you're engaged with those people and what I call a micro day part. In that little micro day part, you're into that world.
Cool.
Now, you guys, and I hope you guys aren't offended, but I have to use the word because it's relevant here. Do you want to understand the mind fuck of it all?
Yes, I do. Go ahead. Do you want to, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay, no offense, but I just have to use the word because it's apropos. Here's the problem.
I think they can handle it.
Okay. Well, I was worried more about you and the faculty above you and all that. You know, you've got politics. And you've got a thesis to get in the whole thing. Anyway, so the mind fuck is as follows. And I learned this I got the taste of it in experiencing it in public, but really more even in operator alone. The problem is when you do the toothpaste thing, it's an engaging, entertaining micro day part in your life, and then you go on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, right? It's just these little micro day parts. The problem is that when you there's a certain point a certain tipping point, where you get to this nth micro day part, and your psyche, you have a psychic fracture. You fracture, because it's like there's too many selves of you out in the world, and when that fracture occurs, that's how we enter the hive or the matrix or whatever you want to call it. There's no more. The fight for privacy is way over. I mean, it's sort of like rock and roll is dead in 1975. Well, privacy is dead in 2011, but rock and roll is now dead because there's really no money in it, and it took 30 years, but there's really no money in it, so it's technically dead. Well, privacy is sort of in that sort of same kind of trending. The next kind of fuck factor in all of this is that when you do have this psychic fracture and it happens on a mass scale, we enter the hive. We're no longer individuals. It's the issue of how do we retain our individuality, or do we enter the hive? Mm-hmm. And from my point of view, it's except for a few free rangers, we're all Purdue chickens. I mean, we're not getting out of this, and then everybody is scared about it and all that. I don't really look at it that way. I just view it as simple evolution. We have the privilege of being alive during a significant evolutionary shift that is going to happen, in our lifetime, really in the next 5 or 10 years. Ray Kurzweil is wrong because he doesn't understand this part of it. He's looking at something else. It's going to happen 5 or 10 years, where the people that are born into it won't truly understand what individuality is. It'll be some anachronistic thing.
My question is you say, like, when people are going to evolve to the point where privacy isn't as much of a big deal, and being an individual, it's kind of like it's forgotten, they won't know it. If you had taken those kind of people and put them through your experiment with We Live in Public, do you think they would have handled it a lot better? Do you think it would have been, because some of those people started to crack, do you think it would have been a whole new ball game?
They would have been more fluid and fluent, yeah. I mean, there's the bunker, but the real ass kicker was living with the fake girlfriend in the loft. That's the one that, because the thing about the bunker, I don't know what it was. It was kind of New Year's 2000 and all of that. We cracked them and all that, but I did both. there's something, it's a freak out when people, you sort of dig it, you know, it's sort of like getting tweet. It's like some amplified it's like tweet on steroids, and you dig it for a while, and then it's like, you realize that you're not you anymore. But if you're born into it, it's probably, you know, my CPU was not designed for that type of multiplexing. So I had to write a patch. I had to get help to get over the whole thing. I had to literally do some like crappy software patch in the way my brain worked. And so you probably wouldn't have as much of a problem. And as you know, if you guide people into it early on, I mean, I had like a shock because I was way too old for that kind of, you know, you know, multitasking. You know, if you're, you know, when I grew up, you know, I've always known television. I always thought that was part of the world.
Do you think?
And then I never quite understood when my parents or my grandparents, you know, were like awed at how tuned in I was to the TV. And it's the same with you with the computers and all that. So you can see that happening. I'm just saying, even everyone in this room, your room and my room, we're still able to be individuals, and we're not quite at the freak out yet.
Okay.
Like with advertising, how, like, are people just going to become the brands? You know, like you're saying with this Crest, like it's just going to become part of their lives, and that's how Crest gets it out there?
Well, you know, yes, that's the whole point of advertising. You make the brand part of their lives without them really knowing it. That's the game. The problem is you're seeing, what doesn't make sense to you are like 30-second commercials interrupting your programming, which you now put on a DVR and you skip.
Right.
But I assure you that in 1966, during the Bewitched years, watch Bewitched. If you're going to want to be in advertising, actually watch Bewitched, because there's a lot of segments in there about the advertising business. But those 30-second spots were as viral and potent as any social media, more in fact than any social media you've ever seen. But they don't, you know, they're already, those spots, those 30-second spots are now 50, 60, 70-year-old technologies that don't work in the modern world. If the way, look, I just laid out to you, you know, kind of how Crest would work. The reason you're going to hold up Crest, by the way, is because you want to get points to get into the Wired City, however, whatever gameplay we put that in there, and you'll do whatever we tell you to do, because just like a race car driver wants to put those tags on, because, you know, all I'm really saying is a race, everybody wants to be the race car driver with all those sponsors, and actually Morgan Spurlock has got that film out now, the guy that sold his film by selling ads in advance, right?
I don't
So
know. You could look
he
at
did
that
Super Size Me.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, everybody wants that, and all I'm really doing is commodifying that. I'm making it so I'm commodifying reality, so everybody can be a reality star, and to the extent that how good they are is based whatever gameplay I make. If they're good enough, they make Seth, and if they're better than that, then they become Captain Kirk within Seth. Well, basically, I explained the Crest studio problem. Well, I'm an old guy. How Crest is going to solve that problem for real? Do they really put the same people in brushing their teeth at the same time? I think so, but that's got to be worked out. And how do they create an oral hygiene monitoring system? And how do they integrate all that? Well, that's got to all be worked out. That, to me, is modern advertising.